It's fine.
I'm going to send that link one more time to Rosemary.
Okay.
And why don't I'll come
Lady
in just a
Linda.
little bit. Why don't you get started and I will forward this on to Rosemary.
This one. We're on to the last paragraph in this section, which is the escape from darkness. And then we get to do something really interesting. So, who shall start reading on part 4? Anybody kind of put their hand up? Go, Nancy. I think maybe we'll just read a couple of sentences because this is a really big one. What do you think, Gary? Or read it all up?
I think we should read the whole thing and then go back and we'll pull it apart, maybe paragraph by paragraph.
Yep.
Okay, so the emptiness engendered by fear must be replaced by forgiveness. That is what the Bible means by there is no death, and why I could demonstrate that death does not exist. I came to fulfill the law by reinterpreting it. The law itself, if properly understood, offers only protection. It is those who have not yet changed their minds who brought the hellfire concept into it. I assure you that I will witness for anyone who lets me, and to whatever extent he permits it. Your witnessing demonstrates your belief, and thus strengthens it. Those who witness for me are expressing, through their miracles, that they have abandoned the belief in deprivation in favor of the abundance they have learned belongs to them.
Do we want to jump into it?
You might want to wait. Here comes Rosemary.
Oh, good. Where'd Linda go?
I don't know. She might have had a connection issue. She's probably in the middle of another.
Yeah, probably. So we'll wait till Rosemary comes in.
Okay. And I just missed all that because someone came to the door.
Hey, Rosemary.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, sweetheart. So we just read a paragraph. We're going to go into kind of pulling it apart and seeing if we can understand what it's saying. So thanks for reading that, Nancy. Nancy, do you have any insight on this paragraph? And rather than me just launching into it, is there anything that you gleaned from it that is pertinent to you that you'd like to share? Or if not, that's fine. I'll launch in and do the best I can do with it.
Well, if I were to do that, I would like to do it by taking it each sentence at a time, because that's how it registers with me.
Me too. That's how we do it.
Oh, okay. So the emptiness engendered by fear must be replaced by forgiveness. So forgiveness to me in this respect is forgiveness for having misunderstood. And that is perhaps the only true replacement for what we have replaced with fear, or this idea that there is something to be protected against.
Yep.
That is.
Yeah. Let me just add something, another dimension to that as well. Is the emptiness engendered by fear must be replaced by forgiveness. So in order to have fear and emptiness, you would have to not see the oneness in your brothers and sisters. You would have to be judgy. You would have to be in some way in a separated mindset, because, and also to engender fear, you have to be attacking with judgment, because you only fear when you are judging another, attacking another, then you fear reprisal, because you believe, or I believe, I'll speak in first person, I would believe if I was attacking another, then that is what will be worthy of me. If I'm doing that, then that will be done unto me. So the emptiness comes from a sense of separation from God, and a separation from all of mankind, because I'm in the process of judging and fearing being judged as well. Earlier today, my partner Robert walked in and he goes, man, people are so difficult. I'm like, I know. I know, but it's like, what are we going to do with that? You know, you condemn them or you accept it. It's like people are in a confused state of mind a lot of the time, but the emptiness that we fear is literally from the judgment that we wield. So if we actually begin to start creating it, you know, Course in Miracles defines miracles as when I can see the oneness in another person, where I can experience only their soul, not their personality, not their behaviors, but only their soul, then I create a miracle. Accumulated miracles, still being able to do that, eventually you get this place of revelation where you realize that we're all one and you're one with God at all points in time. That becomes then the revelation.
Right.
I love when it says then that, but that is what the Bible means by there is no death, and why I could demonstrate that death does not exist. And the way I would see that is that there is no death, because and this is a very high state of consciousness. I can get there maybe once a year, you know, but the truth of it is, when we can see that the oneness with God is all that there actually is, then death doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't exist. It's like changing clothes.
Right.
Does anybody else get anything from those two sentences?
Can I rephrase what you said about that first sentence just to see if
Please.
I kind of understand? And so the emptiness engendered by fear is that the void that's created by an experience of feeling separate. And when we replace that by forgiveness sort of represents the reunification, and the void is thereby closed.
Right.
Something like that.
Because the way the Course means about forgiveness is not how we normally think of forgiveness. The way we think of forgiveness is like, oh, they did something wrong and I'm going to forgive them. You know, aren't I magnanimous? Right. But this is really saying that how the Course defines forgiveness is that I then choose to see my brother or my sister as a light of God, as am I. That becomes, then there is nothing to forgive. Forgiveness presupposes that there's something that needs to be forgiven, which means that that's a judgment and a separation and all that. But in the Course, forgiveness is actually about just seeing the oneness. All the Course says the same thing throughout all of the different iterations of how it is laid out. Actually, the Course is quite simple, but it's very, very challenging to do. We have to practice it a piece at a time. We have to practice, in my opinion, discipline to stop the judgment, the condemnation of others, because that's what creates a separation. And it's hard to do. It is hard to do. Because my ego looks out and goes, man, people are messed up. And yet my soul looks out and goes, well, no, it's just a spark of the divine. It's just gone to sleep in another way that I've gone to sleep. So this is about, in my opinion anyways, it's about creating this state of being aware and a state of us correcting our perceptions.
Yes. Can I add something to that? I'm sure you will not be surprised at all to know about this this idea of forgiveness and a conversation that I had about it many years ago was just with me this morning. And that's the way you framed it, which I totally agree with as well, is forgiving other. I am of the, it feels like a knowing that we can only do that once we've forgiven ourselves. And so it's when we are harboring some sense of like, you know, even if it's like, damn, I'm just judging others all the time. You know, it's sort of like we're judging ourselves. And then it creates that separation from that standpoint as well, whether we're thinking of them as other, either way, or maybe we're harboring our own guilt and thinking ourself as other, that what we can extend to our own soul, we can extend to others as well.
Yeah, there's this one thing in the Bible that says, you know, and you shall do greater things than I. And I keep thinking, you know, in traditional Christianity, you know, Jesus is, that's the ball, you know, that we are nothing. We are just sinners in this maze of sin, and we have to surrender ourselves and believe wholeheartedly in Jesus, and then we're saved. I think that is so contrary to what Christ's teachings actually were. It's like, no, you become the Christ in this moment, in this activity of your life. You see through the eyes of me into others. Therefore, you embody that whole essence of me. And when I started to like really look at, because I live in the Bible Belt of the South in Arkansas, and I am surrounded by people. The first thing they ask you is, what church do you go to? And I'm like, I don't go to church. You know, I'm like, the world around me is my temple. You know, I don't go to church. It's not a brick and mortar building, and it's not where people come together and sing praises to the divine. It's like I'm singing praises to the divine silently inside of myself. I don't have need for that. And they, you know, they don't get it. But when we really look at what Christ's teachings were, it was to become like him. It was to become like him, judgeless, loving, seeing oneness in God in all things. And when we're able to do that, there's something, I think, very special that begins to happen to us. I've often been asked, you know, when I'm giving lectures, it's like people will say, well, I've never experienced God. It's like, I don't know what that is. It's just a word. And I'm like, how badly have you wanted it? How badly have you longed for it? How much have you desired that connection with the divine? Because if you don't desire it, it doesn't show up. You have to put the first foot out there and walk the first walk towards it. And when you long with every fiber of your being for a realization of that universal love in your life, you'll start having miracles show up for you. It's almost like we have to long for the beloved to even hear us or see us. Now, I don't think that that's actually true, but I do think we're constantly in the sea of this energy. But it is also about whatever we desire and focus upon, we create more of. So we start turning our mind away from the shiny objects of the world and more towards the love that we desire to experience with the divine, then we start having movement. But what happens is, because people don't have those initial experiences, they think it doesn't exist, but it does. Okay. You want to read the next line, Nancy?
Sure. Would you like me to go after the death does not exist, since we sort of touched on that, or?
Yeah, where it says, I came to fulfill.
Sure. I came to fulfill the law by reinterpreting it. I came to clarify misunderstandings. And to embody. the law itself, to be the embodiment of. And this makes me think about how Jesus broke all the rules.
All
He
of them.
came and he hung out and partied with the guys and the girls, partied with the guys and the girls on the Sabbath. And, you know, he hung out with unsavory folks. And so that's where that brings me, is he just felt like he was just kind of putting, you know, his behavior seemed so counter to what folks believed the law was.
Yeah. Well, same thing now. If Christ was to come now, they would do the same thing. They would try to crucify him because they have their rules and their regulations and their Bible, and everything's in this book, and it's the word of God. And then here comes this guy that no one recognizes, and he probably will look different, of course, and says, I'm the Christ.
Right.
What do you think they would do with him? It would be very similar.
Yeah, right. Somebody would feel frightened enough. And he was
Very
basically like, I'm not frightened.
All right. Somewhere in the course it says, and we haven't gotten there, it says, I have come to clarify the distortions in my teachings. And that's the whole point of why the course was written, is to begin to start giving responsibility to each one of us to say, it is not about some magical person that is going to save you. It is about you turning your mind towards God and being like and thinking like the Christ in this state of oneness that's going to save you. And when he says no person will come to God, I don't know the exact words, will come to God but through me. It isn't like I'm the one. It's like, it's the perspective I hold that no one can reach that state of awareness and consciousness but through seeing through the eyes of oneness.
Yes.
So, you know, I think the course begins to start reinterpreting the gross misinterpretations of Christianity. Half of the mystical teachings, if not all the mystical teachings of Jesus, are locked in vaults in the Vatican because they were contradictory to what the Roman Empire wanted the masses to believe was Christianity.
Mhm.
So I'm just sitting back going, I hope the world starts to wake up.
Yes.
B, you want to read the next line and we'll get more people involved, other than just Nancy and I?
Yeah, but I think I've got some things I'd like to share as well. So I'm not sure if
Please.
other people want to speak up as well. But we're on to lesson 72 in my little Facebook group, studying A Course in Miracles. And lesson 72 talks about we are so much in our bodies that's why we think this is all about the body, and that's why there is death, and that's why we cannot consider the magnitude of what we're actually doing here. And I just remember so many times in yoga we practice a mantra that we are not our bodies, we are not our personalities, we are not our clothes, we are not our occupation. And I think that's a really important thing for us to practice, to realize how much bigger we really are than all these things that we identify with.
Absolutely. Well, that's almost like seeing ourselves in oneness, isn't it?
Exactly.
Because if we can't see ourselves like that, we can't see others like that either.
Yeah.
That's a really important point, B. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Jane or Linda or Rosemary, anybody else? Okay, Jane's good.
Okay.
Linda, you good? Okay.
You made it in.
Where are you, Linda, on your trek across Australia?
I'm in a little town called Hopetown, town spelt Toun, and it's right on the coast, the Southern Ocean. And I've just been for a walk down into town this morning, and it's just a lovely little village. It's beautiful. It's fabulous.
Sounds great. Now you're not in Western Australia yet, or are you?
Yes, I've been in Western Australia for about, since Friday
Lovely.
or Thursday,
Lovely.
since Thursday.
I'm
Cool.
jealous, Linda.
There's no need to be jealous, Gary. I'm taking you
come
on the
on.
journey as well.
That's very true.
Because we
I
are
wanna
not
see
our
him- I
bodies.
wanna-
What's that?
We are not our bodies, so you're already there, Gary.
That's true. I'll just transport.
Always, you
Okay.
guys are always here with me.
Good. And Rosemary, would you like some information on the Facebook group?
Oh, you guys have, yeah, I would
Yeah.
love to, yeah, I would love to join.
I'll send you.
So-
I will send you that in the email.
Okay, sweet. So V will send that to you so you can join that Facebook
Yeah.
group. They go through the daily lessons. At the back of the book, you can enter the daily lessons at any point in time, but I would suggest you enter the daily lessons with people, because it'll make a big difference. It's like a walking meditation all day long. Every day is a different meditation. You'll like it a lot.
Nice. Thank you.
Okay. V, you wanna read the next
Okay.
line?
Yes. So the law itself, is that where we're up to?
Uh-huh.
The law itself, if properly understood, offers only protection. Keep going, or
Yeah, I think so.
okay. It is those who have not yet changed their minds who brought the hellfire concept into it.
Boy, and not the truth.
Yeah, those two sentences needed to go together.
They do.
Yeah.
So the law itself, if properly understood, offers only protection. So that must be the law of atonement and being one with God and seeing our fellow man and woman through that particular lens. And that does offer protection from fear and separation. Yeah. Does that make sense to everybody?
I guess looking in the context of this paragraph, the law also involves the forgiveness.
Yes, it
That
does.
helps.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And those who have not changed their minds are the ones living in fear.
And that is the emptiness that people see, or that people develop because of the fear.
Could it be like, when they say that you're drinking poison whenever you are resenting somebody, like you're not hurting them, you're hurting yourself, and you're so blind, right? So you don't want to change your mind. And that's why this is what I'm trying to understand here. Like it says, whoever doesn't change their mind, brings hellfire. So I guess they get the hell inside of them or something like that.
Well, they just get fear. When you look at people who are constantly judging and chasing shiny objects, nothing ever really fills them up. They're always in a state of lack because they're always seeking something outside themselves. And when you practice the law of this looking through the eyes of oneness, or in the Course it says the Holy Spirit, that's our only protection really against the fear and the emptiness, is to continue that process. And V said it so beautifully, is that we have to claim that as our identity ourselves, like that is who we are. And when we claim that, then we can start seeing that in others. But I believe it starts really with ourselves, the ability to claim that for ourselves. Does anyone have anything you want to add or subtract to what I just said?
How do you see yourself as like one with everybody, especially when somebody is has hurt you, or somebody that can scam you or something like that. Like, how can you be one with that person?
Well,
Forgiveness. It'd be forgiveness, wouldn't it? I mean, you
it
can
would
be
be.
one with people with forgiveness.
Yeah, but it's still forgiveness. We have to frame forgiveness not in the way we normally talk about forgiveness, but in the way that the Course in Miracles talks about forgiveness. So yeah, I mean, our body and our ego is going to move away from those people. There's no doubt about it. However, the one thing that we can do, and like, I don't like to be around people that treat me bad, and I don't have those people in my life, but if it ever happens, I will move away from them and I will dwell on it for a while, and undoubtedly I'd go into judgment and hurt and all that for a period of time. And then eventually I would go to the place of trying to do my best to understand them. This is my own personal process, to understand what could have been the driver behind their behavior. Once I could get to the driver behind their behavior, I start having more compassion. Ultimately, I get to the place that they're a soul that's gone to sleep just like I have. And what their behavior is not who they are. It's not who they are. It's what they made up about their life from in utero on. So just like I did, we're all somewhat lost, and I don't mean lost in an eternal sense or even in a long sense, but we forget. We go into a state of forgetfulness. And so I have to look at people with compassion rather than judge the behavior, judge the person. I have to look at what's emotionally driving them and choose to see the light of God in them. It's a choice. And then you start to move out of the condemnation, because if you're only seeing them three-dimensionally as their personality, then you're lost. You can never see it in another way. And we go into these places of, they did this wrong, they did this to me wrong, why did they do that? And then you judge them and you condemn them. But the Course is saying, like, if you can imagine this at that level, that what I just said, you have to go way up here to this level and look at it from the eyes of spirit and say that person's gone fast asleep. There's this beautiful line in the Course in Miracles that says that there's either love or there's a call for love. That's the only two things that drive human behavior. So one way to reframe the meaning of a person's bad behavior is to say, that is a huge call for love. I'm not going to answer it. I'm not going to go throw my arms around them and smooch them all over the face and go, you're so cute and you're so wonderful. No, I'm going to keep my distance because I don't put my hand into a cage with a rabid pit bull. But I am going to love their soul. I don't have to love their personality, but I can love their soul. Remember that process, Rosemary, that I gave you a long time ago, which was visualizing the person and imagining the light of God coming through your head, filling up your body, exiting your heart into the heart of the other. No matter what they've done, when you can do that and then feel the love for their soul, that's when a miracle happens.
Yeah, well, that's a dangerous meditation, Gary, because like I have done that meditation with people, and it gets me into a state of like wanting to love them, like show them the love and the forgiveness, and then they are not gonna change,
No, but see, here's the deal.
They keep hurting me.
Yeah, but here's the deal, Rosemary. You're not looking for the personality to change. You're just in the state of loving the soul. And in time, their behavior changes. In time. Like I had someone practicing black magic on me for 6 months, and I did this process for 2 months, and it completely stopped. I said nothing to them. I wanted nothing to do with them. Still don't. But I don't carry and harbor the anger and the fear and the angst around that situation because I've changed it inside myself. They may never change, but you change it inside you. And that is where the peace comes. We can't do those processes expecting their behavior to change. We have no control over that. But we have control over what we identify in them. And by our identification of their soul in them, we strengthen that inside of their personality. And eventually they begin to come more and more in alignment because someone is remembering who they are when they've forgotten for themselves. So you never lose by actually doing that meditation and seeing that within them, because they literally will begin energetically. And this is kind of proven by quantum physics, that thoughts have no time and no space and no boundary. And so as I think that about another person, my thought's creative, and it opens the door for them to remember who they are. And that's why we do it. They may never open the door. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you have provided that as a blessing for them. They may never take it. Doesn't matter.
The thing is that when I get into that state of like loving them as like a person, like as one, like to that state where you are loving that person, even though that person hurt you, right? And you are forgiving and you are so full of this, I don't know, like you feel like so light and like God is presence and like everything is so beautiful. You know, I get into this, you know how emotional I am. So I get into this loving state that I have made a mistake of calling, right? And I'm like, hey, just wanted to call you, you know, to say that everything is fine. And then they will just go back to being whoever they are, which is okay. But then I get hurt because I'm like,
Right.
why did I expose myself to this? And I was in social loving state.
Well, let me just throw this out, Rosemary. Don't call them. You're calling. Hold on. You're calling in order to get a response back so you feel better. So rather than call, sit in meditation and simply dwell on their soul. No expectations. You had an expectation. So you reached out to get results from what you thought you had accomplished in here, and you wanted a result out there to validate it. So you had relief. This is not what we're saying. What we're saying is that you stay in that state of meditation and continue to see their soul no matter what, regardless of what they do or what they don't do, and have no investment in having a change for your own betterment. Let them just focus on their soul, and that's it. You're only loving the soul. You're not loving the person. You're loving the soul only.
On that level, not bringing it to the world, right? Like to the physical world. I just leave it into that realm.
That's right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Get it.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna have to start practicing that because I've been really scared of doing that meditation for real. Got it? Like it gets me to a place.
No, that will free you, Rosemary. That'll free you. So we're going to continue reading.
All right.
So who's going to go next? Who's going to read next?
Go, Linda.
Linda, go for it, darling.
I assure you that I will witness for anyone who lets me, and to whatever extent he permits it.
Keep reading.
Your witnessing demonstrates your belief and thus strengthens it.
Keep reading. I don't understand what witnessing is yet.
Those who witness for me are expressing through their miracles that they have abandoned the belief in deprivation in favor of the abundance they have learned belongs to them. Oh, crikey.
That's a biggie.
Now, I'm kind of getting it. Does anyone want to give a stab at that one? Carolee, you're being very quiet tonight.
Yeah, I just sort of, for me, I think I'd break that into two bits. About what they mean by witnessing.
I think it starts to get clear when it goes, those who witness for me are expressing through their miracles. And so I'm loosely going to interpret that as those who act like me are those who see like I see. That's the only way I can interpret the witnessing. Does anyone else have any other dimension you can add to that? Because to understand what he means by witnessing, this is, have we come across the word witnessing in the Course of Miracles yet? This is the first time, isn't it?
I think so.
Does anyone have an interpretation, Jane or Linda? Yes, Nancy, go for it. And then we'll go to Jane.
Yeah, let me get into this and see. I assure you that I will witness for anyone who lets me. To me, this is sort of similar to what you just shared with Rosemary. Someone fully allows me to see who they truly are, to see their soul, that I am here for that. And then you're witnessing, meaning Rosemary, I'm just going to use Rosemary, you're witnessing of others and seeing the non-separation between your souls, seeing them as a child of God, demonstrates your belief and will strengthen it. Those who witness, oh yeah. So to me, I think there's just something about witnessing the truth of who you are. And like you said, Gary, Jesus can witness the truth of who we are. When he performed the big physical miracles, my perception is that those receivers believed and they let him go all the way in and therefore manifested. So like you were saying to Rosemary, you can't control how much somebody allows you to reach their soul, but you can bring your own solace and over time perhaps reach them. Does that resonate with you at all?
It does. It does. Jane, you have something to offer, or a dimension, and then Lady Linda will ask you as well if you've got something.
Yeah, I think Nancy said it perfectly, that witnessing is, excuse me, the belief system that we hold and that we demonstrate, and that we see the beauty of the soul of the other and ourselves, and so there is no separation. We've abandoned that lack in favor of abundance, and it's ours. It belongs to everyone. It's just a matter of do you see the Jesus in me? Do I see the Jesus in myself? Do I see the Jesus in you? And it's awareness at its most beautiful.
Yeah. Linda, did you have something you wanted to contribute to that?
I think in a nutshell for me, that just the words that came into my mind was about changing how we look at others. If we can change how we look at others, then that is our witnessing, is demonstrating our belief and thus strengthens it.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at somebody somebody who's not very nice, and I think we've all had those people in our lives, that you just let them do what they want to do, like you said before, and we need to just change how we feel about them and just allow them to be who they are, because we don't want to be changed unless we want to do that ourselves. So we just have to change how we believe it in our minds.
Yeah, and there's something popped into my head when you were talking, Linda, that, and it's what V said earlier, is that we have to see ourselves as the light of God. And it's interesting, as many years as I studied the Course in Miracles, I think tonight I'm getting that a little bit deeper than I've gotten it before. Because unless I can see myself as the light of God, as the emissary of the divine, I'm here to do a certain type of work that I know I'm here to do. And in order for us to actually extend that to others, we almost have to build a well of that in ourselves. Like when you're in flow with your purpose, it becomes easy to do, that we're able to extend that to others. But first it starts with us. And I kept going back to the teachings of the Native Americans, because within those teachings, there is this beautiful presupposition that runs through it, which is all creatures, large and small, have a message to give, an essence that is vital to the ecology of the earth and to you as well. When you do a vision quest, you tie 450 prayer ties with little offerings of tobacco. Each prayer tie holds a prayer for what it is you're doing your vision quest for. And then you unwind it and you sit in a circle of your prayers without food or water for like 4 days and 4 nights. And you're praying the entire time for the vision. And then in Native American culture, they say, whatever animal steps into your prayer circle, they have a profound message for you. Whatever steps into you, from a bear to an ant, they have some message for you. Honor it, listen for it, ask it, and it will speak to you. And they would say to me that when an animal steps into your prayer circle, they go into spirit, because it's in the circle of your intention, of your prayer of asking God for a revelation. And they come as messengers. So it's very much like what the Course is saying. All things are a spark of the divine. All things. So do we think we understand witnessing better? Yeah.
Just wanted to
that
add.
I was looking it up, and it was saying that witnessing in the Course of Miracle means witnessing yourself and your behavior, your thoughts, and all of that, like looking from the outside to yourself. That's kind of what it was saying.
What source are you utilizing?
I went to the robot that I told you that I can ask questions to.
Oh, you went to the AI. Okay.
Yes, so I asked, like, what does it mean witnessing in the Course of Miracle? And it said that it means witnessing everything from the outside, like all your thoughts, your judgment, your behaviors, everything, but you're witnessing it from the outside, like you're not, like you're seeing, you know, like when you're meditating, but like
yeah. So you're seeing it as an observer, not as a participant.
There you go. Yeah, that's what it was saying.
Good. I can totally see that's part of it. And I like to take it to another level, which is, we have to be dissociated from it so that we can witness it without judgment, because that's what witnessing is. It's looking at it without judgment and then choosing to see the oneness. So I think the AI robot is accurate, and what we're saying as well is accurate. So we'll merge those two together. Nancy, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I assure you that I will witness for anyone who lets me, and to whatever extent he permits it. Reminds me of what you mentioned at the beginning of our time together about someone seeking the divine, that it needs to be allowed or invited in. You know, you can't, like, you know, the fact that you are divine, that your soul is divine, can only be made known to you if you'll seek to know it. And I
No,
think
it's-
that's what it reminded me of, is what you started with early on.
I mean, Buddha said it best, you know, you go where your attachments are, and your attachments are created by the focus of your mind, what you're constantly investing your mental energy into. And if it's being invested into, let me be a powerful force for good, let me be an instrument of the love that is all around us, let me be that demonstration, then what you get is you get something quite different, a different experience of how we show up in the world, and then a different way of how we see one another. But yeah. V, did you have something you want to add, or Carly? V's thinking.
I'm
She's
really
blowing air out of her
enjoying,
mouth very systematically.
I'm really enjoying Rosemary's perspective as well, because it reminds me as well that there are times that I've had to let go of people and forgive them, but there's always more. I find there's always more work I can do on the forgiveness, because if a thought comes into my mind and I still have some grievance around them, then there's still more forgiveness to be done.
Or more practicing of seeing them as the light of God.
Yes, 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 yes.
And when we can reach that place and see nothing else but that, that's when we have the purity of love. Because most people will forgive from a level of superiority. You know, oh, you did this bad thing, but I'm going to be gracious and I'm going to forgive. That's not forgiveness. That's the inflation of the ego. As far as I can tell, and that's just my own personal perspective, but as far as I can tell, it's just seeing the light of God in them, and that brings about the greatest level, the purest level of forgiveness. And I may not have that right, but you know, that's what I've been able to make up so far.
Gary,
Anyone
what
else on this one?
I just
Yes.
wanted to add on that, what you were just saying, something again that you said earlier, that for me sounds like a very helpful bridge to seeing someone as the light of God, is that phrase, just like me, they have temporarily fallen asleep. Right? Because we all have our own ways. It might not have looked the same way as it does for them, but we have done, you know, and I think that's a really helpful bridge to compassion.
Sometimes things come out of my mouth, I don't even know what I've said, and then I have to write it down because I realize it was pretty good, and I want to remember that.
Just like me,
Yeah.
they have really fallen asleep.
Jane, would you like to? I know you put your hand up.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's heard the phrase, I believe it was Mark Twain who said, forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it.
Wow.
Mm.
It's my favorite.
Could you say that again, Jane?
Yep. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that crushed it.
It's beautiful.
Isn't it? So much so that I'm a painter, and I did a painting of violets, and I put that underneath it, and it, you know, to hang in my house, because it's beautifully haunting, isn't it?
It is. It is. I got a little inspirational thing today from one of the people that I follow, and it said, there is no diamonds without pressure. Because a diamond is formed by intense pressure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what about the oyster? The beautiful pearl comes out of constant irritation of the sand and
Yeah.
the friction, the rubbing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I forget. I was teaching a class last night, and it's the group coaching class, V. It's actually, I want to say an F word, but it's effing fabulous. I am having so much fun. I can't believe it. And yeah, I got I got a standing ovation last night for the class. It was so good on values. But what it really was this experience of starting to look at, like, what's the value that you're the weakest on in your core 5 values, and where do you focus your mind? Where's the annoyance? Where is the irritation of your 5 values? What are you not doing but is vitally important to you that you ought to be doing in order to bring yourself into alignment? And I was thinking, I said, gang, it's like, without this annoyance, we do not evolve, because we don't know what to focus our attention on, therefore have a breakthrough in. It's almost like annoyance, irritation, anxiety, all the things that we try to avoid in our lives are really the doorways into what we have to place our attention on in order to evolve that developmental area inside of us. So rather than curse it and condemn it, we should actually be kind of welcoming it, saying, yes, I mean, bring me awareness of what I don't have handled, so I can bring my tools and my focus to being able to correct that part within myself. It shines a light in where I need to develop me. And that is a gift. Jane, you're lit up. Do you have something you want to say, darling?
Oh, no, I did. Nope.
Okay, good. I just saw your box slide up. Does anyone else have anything else they would like to say? We're almost towards our end time. I don't know if we want to go into another paragraph, but it's taken us an hour on this paragraph. But what I know is that the way we're doing it, gang, I personally love, because to try to read the Course in Miracles and not break it down line by line, trying to figure out what each word really means, it's kind of impossible to understand. So this is where a group like what we formed, and hats off to V, because if it wasn't for V saying, Gary, why don't we do this thing, I'd be like, because I wouldn't have thought of it on my own. So V's fault we're all here. And I was just like, yeah, I'd love to do that for myself, because I get a lot of value from tonight. I get a lot of value from every Tuesday night that we actually gather. Because I forget. And this wakes me up to another week of remembering more. So on that note, shortly, without a lot of conversation, because we're almost at our end, I'd like to find out what each one of us are going to work on for this next coming week around this idea of forgiveness and witnessing and letting Christ work through us. And I don't even like the word Christ, because that presupposes a personality. I'm just going to say this in my own mind. Like, I believe that ascended masters came throughout all creation, all times humanity was on the planet. I believe there was always a Christ on the planet to lead souls home. I don't believe in a personality. I believe that there was the enlightened masters that came every generation to find the souls that are ready to kind of do the work and go home. Now, I could be wrong, but that was certainly my experience when I met when I met the master that had initiated me. And so for all of us, whatever your belief system is, whenever because I have people that I want to have come, but as soon as they hear the word Jesus, they're going to bolt because they will automatically equate, oh, this is traditional Christianity, and it's not. We're talking about the consciousness of Christ, seeing the oneness without judgment and without condemnation. That is the embodiment of what a true living master does. That is the essence of what they're here to do, to show us how to return to ourselves. So I just had to say that in case there's anyone on the call that has that wound that they carry around traditional Christianity. Okay. So V, what are you going to focus on?
I'm going to focus on visualizing the outcome that is the win-win for everyone, any connection I'm making, but also to actually ask more questions. This is a constant thing for me to keep doing, because instead of making assumptions about where I think people are coming from, to be inquiring from them and digging down with them to work out where they're actually at.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I'm going to work on when I'm facilitating clients for the rest of the week, I'm going to work on seeing each one of them as the divine who have temporarily gone to sleep. And it's my job to tap them on the shoulder. Carly?
I'm going to work on remembering that I'm more than my body, and so is everybody else.
Awesome. I think I want that one too.
Go on.
I think I need to have that one before I can do what I just said I was going to do. So I'm going to borrow that from you, Carly, too. I'm going to do the same thing. Nancy.
I'm going to find the friction within a particular one of my highest values. I already kind of know what that is.
Good. Let that little grain of sand irritate you to the point to where you create a pearl from it.
Okay.
Rosemary, what are you going to focus on this week?
I'm going to focus on witnessing from the outside and see what, like observe and not react. You know that I am a very emotional person, so I'm just gonna focus on witnessing everything, and I'm gonna do my best to not judge, and like what you say, like look at people from, like, ask me how. I think it was Veronica who said that, or Nancy, one of you two said that the you need to look at the other person like just as me, like they're just asleep like I am, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to just try to be compassionate.
That'll calm your nervous system way down, Rosemary. So Jane, how about you? What are you going to focus on?
Yeah, I think in order to return to myself more often and be in awareness, it's one of the things I do, but I'm going to really turn up the volume on, is waking up and saying, what would you have me do today?
Awesome. Jade, I have a question real quick. Did you respond to Andrea? I referred a client to you. Did you respond to her by chance?
You did refer someone to me?
Yeah, I referred Andrea Fulop to you. So check your emails, because I gave her your email address, and she wants to get an astrological reading done.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, I'll check that. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, Linda, what are you going to be focusing on?
My focus for a long time, so a lot of years, has been about not judging other people. We all know that people judge. It's just part of the makeup. and whatever anybody judges about me is none of my business.
Mm.
So I need to just continue to focus on judging in a different way.
Very good. I have a book I'm going to suggest to everyone. It was written by a woman way back in the day who was like the Tony Robbins of the 80s. And her name was Terry Cole Whitaker. And she wrote a book called What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. And it's a really good book. She was one of the most courageous people I have ever known, to tell you the truth. Okay, gang, let's give our one word that we want to leave the group with from ourselves. So, V, would you like to start?
Trust and surrender.
Awareness and awakening. Carly,
Blessed.
Nancy,
Bearing witness.
Rosemary,
Forgiveness.
Jane,
Awareness.
Linda.
Live and let live.
Linda, you have big adventures on the road, darling. You just get out there and kiss those emus and those kangaroos, and you just have the best time possible. And
I'll do
gang,
that just for you, Gary.
thank you. God bless you all. It was so great coming together with you all. Nancy, great to see you. Rosemary, thank you for joining us. And
And
we'll see you all next Tuesday, okay?
not next week.
Beautiful.
Not
Oh.
next week, Gary. You won't be here. So
That's right.
we'll
I'm not going to be here.
have a break. 2 weeks time.
Okay. Yes, we'll do
Wow.
it in 2 weeks from now. And Jane, get a hold of Andrea, okay?
I'm doing it right now. Thank you.
Sweet. Okay, bye, gang.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.